Welcome back, Andrew. Nice to meet you here.
Ulrike, it's great to have another chat.
We are talking about our big theme, upskilling young people with mental health and fitness. And today our topic is building resilient, promoting mental fitness for students and the staff, of course. So let's talk about, you are in Australia. You are
Yes.
a principal in Australia, and I am mental health and fitness coach and expert. So your themes are also this. And I saw on Facebook that you wrote already, I think, 3 books. Is that right?
I have written 3 books. Yes, 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 yes. The first one is probably most relevant to this. It's about parent-teacher relationships, so that they can work together for the well-being and education of our children. The other 2 books are more about educational leadership, but certainly the first one has good relevance to keeping our children mentally healthy and helping them build resilience, particularly through the parents and teacher relationship. We've got to work hand in hand.
Do you mean the one, Are You Ready for School?
That's the one. That's the one.
Cool. Sounds really great and interesting. Makes me curious. So let's talk about the strategies for integrating mental fitness into everyday school life. What do you think? How can we help the pupils, the staff, and the parents?
Yeah, Ulrich, I think that if schools make this a priority by having simple initiatives such as giving children some well-being exercises and some mental health exercises at the start of each day, by giving them key staff that they can have as reference points so that if they do have any mental struggles, they know they've got a network to go to. I think we need to upskill our parents as well from a school point of view to say that a child's mental health must be a priority because if a child is not mentally in a good headspace, they're not going to learn. And I think we have too many kids at the moment, too many children and students who have mental health issues and we've got to look after them so they can learn and grow and thrive. So schools have got a responsibility to make this a priority by giving them wellness skills and strategies. If they want to introduce formal programs, they could. If they want to have mental health breaks during the day, they could. If they want to have clubs at lunchtimes for the kids who might need support with experienced staff or guidance counselors or psychologists, they could. And then we have to upskill our teachers and we have to upskill our parents as well. So schools play a part, but it works hand in hand with home, as I'm sure you'd advocate.
Yeah, that's for sure. Very, very true. To work together as a whole communication for in the kids' health and fitness and well-being.
Mm. Absolutely.
So now we all know that education is not only education and not only school, it is also politics. So what
Yeah.
can a principal do within that to integrate those strategies in school? Do you just do it, or what is in your mind?
Yeah, Ulrich, it's interesting. There's a degree of autonomy that school leaders have, certainly in Australia, to say we'd like to introduce a program, for argument's sake, and a school leader would have that autonomy with their leadership team and with the support of other experts such as guidance counselors. And that would be at the school's expense. It's very rare in my experience that whole programs are rolled out unless it's of, I suppose, state or national importance. For example, we do have whole programs around child safety, which have been embraced by schools and almost mandated by educational authorities, whereas something like mental health is just gaining traction. And I think it may become mandated in the years ahead. But right now, it's really up to the school and the staff and the parents to acknowledge the importance of this and then find the resources and the tools and the skills to look after our students and our children, and then to upskill our parents and upskill our staff. So, for example, if I can share with you, I've got guest speakers in to run parent sessions at night or in the afternoons to say, we want to look after the mental well-being of your children. Here are some strategies for a parent to embrace at home, which is great. And I say, similar at a staff meeting to my own teaching staff, here's what we can do as a staff. And I need to upskill the teachers about the signs of children under stress and what they might be able to do in the classroom. So, but from your point of view, what would you hope? What would your dreams be to support children's mental health and to support staff and parents?
Thank you for the question. Um, my dream is that everybody works together, like you said already, and also giving the children people to their hand, like you or me,
Mm, mm,
who teach them directly every week, at
yep,
least 1 hour
yes.
in the schedule, that they learn what does it mean to be mentally healthy. Because I
Yeah,
think most of the parents and the pupils as well, they do not know what does it mean, mental health and mental fitness.
sure.
So I think it needs a program where we first start where do I have stress, so that they can recognize the stress and all the
Mm,
mental things under it, stress, anxiety, everything like that,
mm,
because most of them do not know how does it feel when I have stress and how does
mm,
it feel when I'm angry.
yes.
And so everybody should learn how does it feel like and what can I do in the next step. And only teaching what can I do is very good, but the first step is missing. So I think it needs a program where the pupils also can ask every week where they feel free, where they feel well with in the working together, in the co-working with the teacher, and they can ask their own questions and bring in their own themes and not only learn mathematics, language, whatever we
Yes.
need. We need it, that's for sure.
Mm,
But also with those subjects, they have challenges which are mentally, because they cannot keep it in mind. They are stressed. They are angry. There
mm,
is so much that we need something 1, 2, 3 hours together where we can talk about it and learn them the tools. But the first step is that the teachers and the parents, as you said it, learn the tools and teach them, yeah, or change them with the kids, with the pupils.
absolutely.
So, what do
The,
you think? Which program could work in school?
there's a few programs around building resilience, and look, in Australia, there are a couple of commercially available programs. They're usually prepared by psychologists and counselors, and they're usually very, very explicit, so that children will be able to learn very specific skills. And I wish I could name them off the top of my head. I can picture the cover of them without naming them. But these programs are very explicit. So the teachers who may not feel competent or confident, because this isn't a curriculum area necessarily, this might be a new area for some teachers, but it's quite prescriptive and it will give the children, as you suggested, the skills to understand the stresses and how their body's feeling and how their mind's feeling, and then how they can regulate their emotions because they're not going to avoid stress. I think stress is a part of everyone's life. I think it's very important that how we can manage and, as you suggest, build resilience in our children so that they can recognize the signs and symptoms of their stress and then be able to cope with it. It's interesting. I did a webinar just last night about building resilient, happy children. And for an hour, a psychologist was talking to a group of us, and she said we need to acknowledge our children's emotions, never dismiss a child's emotions, because emotions are not bad, they're not right or wrong, they're just information to tell us something about how a child is feeling. And we need to acknowledge that. And as you rightly say, when the child can acknowledge how they're thinking and feeling, then we can move forward with strategies for them so that they can regulate and feel good about themselves, even if they're under stress and pressure.
That sounds good. So making a big community with the parents, with the teachers,
Yeah,
and psychologists, and yeah, everything together,
yeah,
and perhaps the doctors, the medicine, making a big group working together for the well-being of the children, the pupils. And what do you think is the big role of a school leadership like you? I mean, you are author and speaker and a school leader, but what do you think is your role in creating a safe and supportive environment?
I think school leaders, Ulrich, have to be visible, and we have to be, I suppose, an advocate for wellbeing programs. And we have to be confident about talking about it and acknowledging the importance of this, and in fact, highlighting the importance of this. Without children feeling mentally safe and happy, that they can manage their own emotions and they are resilient to cope with the stresses of life, then they're not going to learn. And I think if school leaders, principals, and deputies and headmasters can invest time and money and resources into programs and into upskilling staff and upskilling parents, then we make it a priority. If school leaders don't make it a priority, then it may not happen, because a teacher with a good idea might come to us and say, Andrew, I've got a great idea about a wellbeing program. And I've had this debate with my own staff, and I've had various programs we've discussed and debated. And invariably, we get advice from other schools, or we listen to the research about various programs, and then we make an informed decision. But school leaders must be advocates for well-being of their students and must invest time and money and resources so that we can look after our young people.
For sure. And that is the two big things I observe when people
Mm,
listen from something on and they say, wow, this is good. They are curious, they are interested, but then either they say, oh, I don't have time for this,
yes.
or they say, oh no, this is too expensive, I don't have money. And even when it's just 10 euros or whatever,
Mm, yeah.
they sometimes use this point to say, no, I don't have money. This
Yeah.
is, for me, well, a little bit ridiculous, but
Mm,
the truth is that the people do not want to see what can happen there. They are perhaps scared because
mm,
they can see a point in themselves which can hurt. Because
yeah.
I can only help pupils also in mental health and fitness stuff when I look into my own hurted themes, and yeah, maybe, but everybody's different. And what what do you think? How can we bring emotion into this big theme, which is important?
Two things I think we can do, Ulrich. The first one is when I talk to my own staff, I preface any professional learning for them with a reminder that if this professional learning triggers any emotional response in them from their own childhood or even as an adult, and they feel their emotions rising, then I ask them to look after themselves. And if it means they take a breathing space, then we take a breathing space for them, because I think my adult mental health needs to be on top of the game before I can look after my students and my children. So that's one thing I think we need to do. The second thing I think we need to do is to invest in the people who can make the difference for our children. Now, what I mean by that is when a program's introduced to schools, you will have some teachers who will be reluctant for exactly what you just said. I don't have time, or I don't feel upskilled enough to run these programs. However, if you can get some initial uptakers, so the staff who are keen and enthusiastic, and you work with them and you build success with a small group, and then the flow on effect can happen like the dominoes falling when staff see success from other staff. And we also remind staff that the statistics of mental health in our young people is quite alarming. And if the children have mental health issues, they won't be learning to their capacity. So I think if we can say this is good to have children set up for learning success, then people will buy in. But I think if we look after our staff and then we train some early adopters, I would call them, and then they achieve success, hopefully other staff will follow on. Look, it's a huge challenge because there will be an element of staff saying, this is something else I've got to teach. This is something else I've got to do. And yet, without it, our children won't be achieving the results we would like them to achieve.
Wow. I would love to have my children's in your school
Ah,
to have somebody who understands this holistic view and is working like this. I think we need more leaders, school leaders, who think more like this. So let's think about that point. How can we bring them together? Because English is
yeah,
the language everybody should understand. So,
absolutely.
what do you think are the best practices from different countries? I don't know with which country you work together to destigmatize mental health.
Yeah, it's interesting, Ulrich. I think in the English speaking, look, my experience is all in Australia. It's all in Brisbane, in fact. However, I've been a principal across a number of schools now for over 24 years. So I think some of the programs, if they can fit in with the curriculum, then teachers are more likely to embrace it and not see it as something extra. So that's a really important clue. And in Australia, it would fall under our health and physical education curriculum. And the fact that it says health, people immediately assume that means physical health. I
Mhm.
don't think people necessarily align it to the mental health. But the actual curriculum has a space whereby, under the health and physical education curriculum, we can introduce programs for our students' mental well-being. So there are programs available. Now, they can be specific around bullying programs, for argument's sake. I think programs that are more holistic and talk about building resilience and upskilling our students in emotional regulation are more beneficial than targeting one emotive term such as bullying. So I would hope people can find programs that talk about mental health, resilience, emotional regulation, and tie it into the curriculum under the health and phys ed curriculum, whereby it's not something extra, it's something that we should be doing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it is necessary for us adults who see the problems not
Mm,
to look away, but
yes.
to take it and make something better out of it. It is more than time. It is more than after 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, I for sure. I think we should grow together and make also there a big community that the world of tomorrow, which the pupils are,
Mm,
have a
mm,
chance to make it bigger, to make it better, and yeah, not to make war under
absolutely.
themselves. So because this point they learn already in the school, and this
Mm,
is the war inside. But we don't need it. We can help the pupils
yes.
to let that go because stress and anger and fear is war inside.
Very true.
And therefore we can do a lot to change this point. So
Have you seen programs in your country, Ulrich? Are there programs with which you're familiar or that schools can embrace?
yes, we have those programs in German
Right.
language, of course, and the parents can also use programs which they pay extra for,
Yes.
which are different in every city. It is there exist different programs, but I know a lot of programs also with the music because I, as a musician, you can also visit a music school and do a lot of music because that
Right.
also helps to regulate the emotional balance But
Mm,
also those teachers, they should also learn. And in the music study and the university, you don't learn that because I have two
no,
adult kids. They didn't learn it. One is teacher and one is opera singer. And they always told me, Mom, what I learn at home about pedagogic and mental health, I
yes,
do not learn there in university.
no,
So also I help them to go on stage with opera singing and to be that healthy, always healthy and vital teacher in front of 33 kids or whatever, and then 45 minutes later, another 33 kids. And that is sometimes crazy because you get a lot of emotional stuff from the kids, and the teacher has to deal with it. And that is not the easiest way to deal with. I
no,
also know how it is because I did it. But I think the young people, like my adult kids,
mm,
they need those tools, and there are tools. You can learn it. It
correct.
doesn't, it is not a language which makes the difference. It is just all over the world. It can happen. And
Yes,
those programs we need, which are German, Russian, English, I don't know.
yes,
English perhaps is, I think, is the language where we can share everything.
absolutely. But what you
Yeah.
say is so true. We need to upskill our adults to then upskill our students.
Mm.
And I'm not sure if the universities do enough of that preparation for our young
Mm.
teachers coming out.
Everybody
And when I
sees,
speak to
yes,
universities occasionally talking about getting teachers ready to face their classes, some of their biggest challenges is the emotional regulation that they will be expected to manage within their classrooms of 25 or 30 little people. And are they trained in how to do that? And then are they trained in how to support the parents who will come to the teacher as the expert in all things? And yet some of the teachers aren't skilled enough yet to manage this. So it is a huge challenge, but one we must invest in, as you rightly said, because these are our future leaders, these are our future politicians, these are our future lawmakers. So that we've got to make sure that they're happy and healthy kids, mentally and physically.
yeah. But the more faster way is that we do something before the politics decide
Yes,
something, because that needs a long time.
absolutely. Very true. Very true.
So we are together because we use the digital tool here via
Absolutely.
Zoom. So what do you use using digital tools and resources to promote mental fitness? Do you think it works in school if we
Yeah.
use that also? Or what would you say as a leader of a school?
It's an interesting one, Ulrich, because the reality is children are on devices from a very young age in this day and age, and yet a device is not a human being. I'm a firm advocate and believer in the human connection. Having said that, there are some programs which you can get on phones and on iPads and on devices which children can work through at their own pace. So there is a place for it. I think so long as children and adolescents don't become dependent upon the device as the emotional regulator, I think the device through applications can teach children. I think children still need the human connection so that when they do have a problem, they can get a response from a person who cares about them. I think AI is fantastic and has a place in the world, but AI does not care about a human being.
Of
You and
course.
I care about human beings. Mum and dads should be caring about human beings. Teachers care about human beings. So I think applications can be good to give content. I think the caring needs to be left to the humans. Does that make sense?
Of course, for sure. I'm with you. I think so too. We cannot leave it. We cannot, um, yeah, we cannot shut it away,
No,
those things, because they are here. But we should learn the pupils how to work with it, how to
yeah,
work with the AI in a which makes in a way which makes sense, and that is, I think that should also be a program in school which teaches that point.
Schools are busy places, aren't
Yeah, and they cannot do everything, that is for sure,
they?
because parents also should take responsibility for those things and not take the mobile always with them. So
Yeah.
just put it away just for an hour or yeah, whatever.
That's so true. And I think when parents hear those messages from experts in their field, they're more likely to listen than other parents. I think they will listen to their teachers up to a point. And I think when I have had experts come in and run parent sessions about any topic, but including emotional resilience in students and building the ability to regulate their own emotions and
Mm.
mental well-being, parents will listen. Uh, Often you get the parents who are already doing their best, and you
Mm.
often don't hit the mark of the parents you want to attend. However, we keep offering, which is all we can do to make sure our children are in a good space.
Wow, so cool. It's always so interesting to talk to you. I'm
Ah,
so happy to see you again. And thank you very much for this talk, Andrew. I hope it inspires a lot of people and a lot of people can listen to this talk, and we will have more themes. And perhaps I thought that our people who are listening to us,
hmm,
parents, teachers, pupils, that they can write themes where they are interested in into the chat, perhaps.
absolutely. That'd be great. That'd be great. I look forward to more conversations, Ulrich. Hopefully, we can help our children, our parents, and our
Yes,
teachers around the world.
that's it. Have a nice night, me day.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.